Welcome back to Happy Place Cooking. Today I'm going to be making a budget-friendly family meal. I hope you'll stick around and watch this. I think it could be beneficial for really anyone. The first thing I'm going to do is boil up 2 bags of noodles. Now, depending on the size of your family, you might want to cut this down to 1 bag of noodles. I am only feeding Jesse and myself, but I'm hoping for leftovers because we have a lot to do this weekend and it would be nice to not have to cook. The next thing I'm going to do is chop up some cheese. I had a little bit of leftover mozzarella and this is just a big hunk of Velveeta. You could opt to leave this out. I probably wouldn't leave this one out just because it does melt really well, gets, nice and creamy. Or if you wanted, you could use a jar of cheese dip sauce. That would work too. I am going to cut these as thinly as possible. Not extremely thin, but I was going to do them in chunks. I decided it would probably melt a little more evenly if I do it in slices. This is quite the bit of messy cheese slices here, but that's okay. Alright, my next step is going to be to add cream of chicken. I did drain my noodles, got all the water out. I'm just going to add this can of cream of chicken soup. You could use, and I would have preferred to have used cream of broccoli, but I only had the chicken, so I'm using that. It should be fine. Gonna go ahead and mix this up. I'm using my lasagna pan. I have greased this. I'm dumping in the noodles with the cream of chicken soup. I'm pretty sure it's not going to be a problem for me to have leftovers this weekend. Now I have 2 cans of tuna. I just want to make sure that I get this spread out pretty evenly. Make sure you drain your tuna. You don't want all that water or really even oil if you use the tuna packed in oil. Then I'm adding a can of peas. Now, this is definitely optional or can be changed. Now, if I'd have had the cream of broccoli soup, I might have opted for no extra veggies. Or if I would have had maybe some frozen or fresh broccoli, I could have cut that up, and I think that would be probably better than the peas. But you could use, I guess you could use green beans if you wanted. You could put potatoes in it, whatever you wanted to do. I almost forgot my cinnamon basil. I'm just going to sprinkle that throughout. Just kind of spread that out a little bit. I actually kind of meant to mix that in when I did my cream of chicken soup. That's okay. Next, I'm going to layer with my Velveeta. Put my randomly cut, wildly cut pieces just all over here. Because I love cheese, I'm also going to place in my mozzarella just randomly throughout the casserole. I'm going to set this aside just for a little bit because I have a side dish that I want to prepare to go with this. Now, this is also optional, but it is kind of a inexpensive side dish and it's really easy to make. This is what is left of the potatoes that I grew this year. We have already eaten several of the ones that I had when we were on a camping trip. And unfortunately, I wasn't really thinking about it. I thought we were going to eat them all. We ended up not eating them all, but I did start with all the larger ones. So these are some tiny little potatoes. That's okay. You can get these potatoes this tiny in the store. They are a little more expensive. I would suggest just going with regular potatoes, or some that may be just a little bit smaller, not big, huge baking potatoes. Just add all my slices to this little bowl. I'm going to drizzle them with olive oil. Toss that around so that they all get nice and wet from the oil. I have fresh thyme and parsley. I'm going to kind of sprinkle that out and then mix it up and sprinkle some more on. You can use ground. Sprinkle the rest of that in there. I want to make sure it gets nice and covered and nice and seasoned. I'm going to go ahead and add in a little bit of salt. Might get a little more than I kind of wanted, but that's okay. Just want to continue to toss that. That way everything is nice and coated. I have greased my stoneware pan, which I don't normally do, but I do not want my potatoes to stick, so I have greased it. You could use aluminum foil, or if you only have like the metal baking sheets, definitely probably cover them with aluminum foil, but I would still grease the aluminum foil a little bit because you wouldn't want it to stick to your potatoes either. I'm just going to put those in and spread them out. I'm going to preheat my oven to 375, and both of these are going to go in at the same time and cook for approximately 30 minutes. Now, at the 20-minute mark, I'm going to take this out because I have a topping that I want to put on this, but I don't want to put the topping on right now because it will probably burn or get extremely dark before it's done. I got a few more minutes and I'm going to pull that tuna casserole out and get my topping on. Now my topping is going to be a like a stovetop. It says cornbread, but it's not cornbread. I think it's a kind of a cornbready type stovetop mix. This was just a partial bag because I used some of it in a meatball recipe, which there is a video for that as well. I want this to be a little more like just breadcrumbs, like panko or something. So I'm putting this in my food processor, and then I'm just going to grind that up. Ah, yes, that looks much better. This is looking mighty fine. I am sprinkling my topping evenly as possible over the entire dish. Ooh, smells good too. Okay, I'm going to put this back in for the final 10 minutes. Then when it's done, I'm going to plate it up, and then I'm going to show you what it looks like.
Hey, 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 hey.
I do hope that you've enjoyed this budget-friendly meal. If you've made a tuna casserole before, comment below and let me know how you made yours. Thanks so much for watching. Happy eating.